Okay, first off, let's start here. You see that? That was me. Let me zoom this in. Okay, my name is Mira. I help moms master mindset, money, and motherhood, all while creating a balanced life for themselves, helping moms go from survival mode to soft life. God has already prepared for us to have this soft, abundant life, so let's go ahead and transition into it. We are here at the park. Baby boy has made some friends, and we have a little picnic going on. So I wanted to record while he's playing. We're gonna knock two birds with one stone. So let's get it. I didn't bring my I normally bring my stuff, but I didn't bring no quotes for you guys. The only scripture that I do have in here is Matthew 25:21. It say, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I will put you in charge of many things." All right. Um, so I wanted to talk about, I know my last video I talked about taking a leap of faith. What are things that was blocking you from actually taking a leap of faith? So I want to talk about shadow work, the shadow work of survival mode, like how to do the shadow work when you're in survival mode. All right. So survival mode refers to a prolonged state of psychological and mental stress. It's driven by the body's fight or flight response. It keeps the nervous system on high alert. While meant for brief emergencies, chronic activation leaves you emotionally exhausted, physically drained, and struggling to move past daily challenges. Does that sound like somebody? Okay. It says when your brain is stuck in survival mode, it prioritizes immediate short-term safety over long-term well-being and emotional regulation. All right, so here are some of the signs. Mental exhaustion, poor short-term memory and chronic brain fog. All right, emotional unstable, heightened anxiety, irritability, numbness, and mood swings. Physical wear, trouble sleeping, elevated heart rate, digestive issues, and weakened immune function. And then we got behavioral changes, lack of motivation, social withdrawal, being hyper-focused on completing tasks just to get through the day. Isn't that mostly us moms? I remember I was the mom stuck in survival mode. All right, I'm gonna try not to talk about myself. Y'all know I always talk about myself. I'm trying not to talk about myself until the very, very end. I want to get through the information. All right, so it says how to regulate and move forward, mindful breathing, using calm psychological size. All right, got grounding techniques, practice the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now they said this is a sensory exercise. I normally do this when I am meditating. So noting 5 things that you can see, 4 you could touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 you can taste. And then they have professional support here. All right. Oh wait, I'm gonna put my examples here. All right. So it says survival mode isn't a personal flaw. It's an automatic biological coping mechanism. All right, so I gave you the signs, I gave you the triggers, I gave you some ways to work on. Now let's talk about shadow work, because people are putting a negative tone to shadow work. They think shadow work is demonic. Um, but let's talk about it. So let's just talk about it. All right, so shadow work is the process of exploring your unconscious mind to uncover, understand, and integrate the hidden, suppressed, or rejected parts of your personality, often called your shadow self. All right, the goal is to acknowledge these buried traits such as anger, shame, jealousy, or even untapped positive qualities so they can no longer secretly control your behaviors or cause self-sabotage. All right. Again, I'm not going to talk about myself. I'm gonna wait to the end. All right. It says understanding the shadow. Your shadow self typically develops in your childhood to fit in, stay in, feel love, stay safe. You may have learned to hide parts of yourself that were deemed unacceptable or bad. This isn't just about dark, sinister traits. It can also include things like assertiveness, vulnerability, or ambition if those were discouraged by your environment. It says when you ignore these three parts of yourself, they still influence how you react to the world, often showing up as overreacting of triggers, feeling intensely irritated by certain traits in others. We got self-sabotage, quietly undermining your own success or relationships without knowing why. We got people-pleasing, suppressing your own needs to avoid the discomfort of rejection. All right, it say how shadow work helps by bringing these unconscious habits into into light of your awareness. You can process past wounds and reclaim parts of your personality you cut off. All right, breaking repeated cycles in relationships and conflicts, reducing emotional reactivity and triggers, increasing authenticity and living a more genuine life, uncovering hidden potential or repressed talents. Oh my gosh. All right, let me be quiet. All right, and then it says common ways to practice this. Shadow work is a deliberate practice of self-reflection. Because shadows are in the unconscious, it requires patience and willingness to look at yourself without judgment. All right, some of the ways: journaling. Hey. Okay, we got noticing triggers, exploring why a specific person or situation made you irrational, angry, or sad. And then we got therapy, working with the depth psychotherapist or counselor to safely explore deeper traumas and blind spots. So I guess why they may call it may seem like negative, because you actually have to do the inner work. You actually got to find yourself. So that self-exploration, you're going deep within. So with going deep within can have you see that shadow, see that darkness, see the things that is, what was deemed bad, and actually tapping into it and actually trying to figure out why did this happen. I know most of you guys may not know much about my life, or if you have, y'all, I didn't even do my speech. It's okay. But from early in age, my childhood wasn't as good. There was abuse in the home. There was, it was a negative. Not saying it was always negative, okay, but I seen the bad things that happens within a relationship when growing up, okay. Let's see, I was raped, abused, anxiety, depression. I've lost a child. I lost the engagement, So going really, really deep within, it really wasn't as, it was more bad than good for me. It was more of the negative things than the positive things. I was stuck in survivor mode, and that was from just childhood. All right, that was my upbringing. So that was always instilled to me. The survival mode, the stuck, the fight or flight. When I'm in a you know, I didn't like being confrontational. I just would rather just go the other way, or I would rather not open up my self or speak up, or, you know, express myself, because it wasn't safe for me to do so. Now, I know this can sound a little bit harsh to some people, especially in my family, but when you actually just, when you look at it logically, if you look at it on paper, it wasn't safe. I don't fault my mom. I still honor my mom and my father. All right, that's in the Bible. I will honor them. Things happen. They were young too. They were growing as well. All right, but I'm not going to. I can't hide no more. I cannot be quiet no more. Because I had to let that go. I had to release. So why not help someone who may be going through the same situation that I've been in? We might got to do this part 2, guys, because this already at 15 minutes. Well, yeah. So I'm gonna be. That's why I said I'm gonna be quiet, because I wanted to give y'all some things of survivor mode, what the definition is, and if that related to you, or, you know, once related to you, some of the signs, some of the triggers, all right, and how to work on it, and why shadow work is not a bad thing. Shadow work is that inner work, the getting to know you and why you were. I was always the dark child or the quiet child, and, you know, I was good, you know. I was quiet, I did my work, I did what I was told, but when it came to me open up about myself, all right, most of my family knew I was a little firecracker at one point in time, because when I did start to open up for myself, like when I was quiet to demon child. Huh? Yes, you want juice or you want water? Okay, hold on, guys. Okay, we back. Yeah, so those was the things, but I had to realize those things. Also, when it came, so it wasn't just for my, it was also within my relationship as well. I was picking guys that I was thinking I was finding love. I was picking the bad guys. I was picking the ones that didn't serve me no good, right? And, you know, I thought that was love, but that really wasn't love. So where did that come from? Doing that actual inner work and knowing what I actually want out of a relationship and what doesn't serve me and what's not for me. Do the shadow work.
Give me some water, because I know I drink water now. I want to drink 2 waters.
Okay, so those are some of the things. We're coming up to the 15-minute mark. But yeah, that resulted into this. That resulted into me not being happy for myself, not standing up for myself, being in situations that for a long period of times that I shouldn't have been in, staying in situations because I just was just quiet. So do the shadow work. I love you guys. We going up at 15 minutes. I'm gonna keep it short, y'all. Keep it short. But those are some of the things that I want to say. Even if you can't do therapy, y'all, please do journal. Write your own journal. Even if you don't want to purchase my journal yet. If you know, start off with just a notebook. That's why I started off with just a notebook. I couldn't remember my childhood, so journaling was always in me. Writing down was always in me, right? All of my notebooks are gone from the past, but it's okay. Whatever was in there was in there. Whoever seen that, all right? That was my truth. That was my life. But for now, I just go back on my old ones that I started. And in that video, this picture was in 2020. But Yeah. Right. Get it out. You gotta express it somehow. If you can't get to a therapist, find different ways. Be in that solitude your own. Find different groups. There's different groups that's out here that may align with you. All right. If this is your first time, thank you. Welcome. All right. Watch my other videos so you can know exactly how we got here. All right. Make sure that you like, make sure that you subscribe, make sure that you join the tribe, all that good stuff. And if this is your returning time, I love y'all. I love my OGs. Oh, y'all, where my nail at? My nail popped off as soon as I started recording. So that's what I got. All right, bye.